So, gender ideology feels like it's one of those subjects that might suffer from a degree of ambiguity. Like one of those things where you can have two people shouting at the top of their lungs at each other, and neither of them actually knows what the other person is saying. So I'm going to try and delineate a couple of the terms here, and hopefully that helps a little bit. So, firstly, you have gender identity, um, one's sense of self slash, oh goodness, internal experience. Now, I have my doubts with regards to this term. Maybe not so much that it exists as a concept in the human brain, but more so that maybe whether or not it would have any meaning or what that meaning would be. Like, I have no problem believing that a schizophrenic might see a monkey playing cymbals in the corner, but as to whether that would have any meaning or what that meaning might be, well, that's kind of up for debate a little bit. Um, anyways, be that as it may, moving on. Sexual dimorphism. Now, you probably want to ask a biologist or look this up, but I think it's a pretty straightforward term. It essentially means the manner in which biological sexes diverge as they mature and or maybe into adulthood and become kind of disparate groups. Lastly, and this feels like kind of the crux of this issue, or the epicenter of the ambiguity, gender. So for the rest of this episode, we're going to use gender as I will now describe it. It's probably not the dictionary definition or the online definition, but it is the right definition, obviously. Now, gender in my mind means something to the effect of a collection of observational generalizations made with regards to the idea of biological sex. I don't know what else that'd be made with regards to. So this is kind of where the issue comes in. We, in our everyday lives, go around and we see the way the other sex behaves, or maybe even the way our own sex behaves, right? The way they look, the way they behave, the way they might even think to some extent, and we make generalizations based on that. Perhaps if this becomes widely enough accepted, it becomes a gender norm, right? The collection of which becomes gender. So people will see this and say, oh, gender is a construct, right? Kind of yes, kind of no. Maybe a little bit, but also just in the same way that our eyes react to light, our ears react to sound waves, we as humans react to gender or to sexual dimorphism, right? I think in large part, gender norms are the result of observations, the reaction to observations made about sexual dimorphism. So yes, it is kind of a construct, but it's also kind of a reaction, and it's so close to the objective reality of sexual dimorphism that it might as well not be a construct. Now, I say mostly with regards to sexual dimorphism. I think there are exceptions to this. Some gender norms that just come as a result of maybe enigmatic social trends, or like a mimetic behavior, something like that. So imagine you have someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's a public figure, very masculine, the type of man that other men would want to emulate. So he decides that he really likes the color pink, and for the rest of his life, he's only going to wear the color pink. All right. Lo and behold, 20 years down the road, pink becomes a hyper-masculine color. Now, is this the result of sexual dimorphism? Not really. It's just group dynamics. Anyways, wrapping this up. An exception to a gender norm does not mean an exception to the gender itself, right? Nor does it mean an exception to sexual dimorphism, right? There's probably nothing wrong with the way you either are developing or have developed. I'll go a step further. Again, ask a biologist, but I think inevitably sexual dimorphism will probably ensure that at least naturally, like on a physiological level, on a psychological level, you will be more feminine than you are masculine, or vice versa for men, right? Now, with regards to behavior or things like self-imposed metamorphosis, it's not so simple. A person can do anything they want to do to be perceived as what they want to be perceived as. Now, some people would maybe look at this and say, oh, this is an exception to the rule. I don't think so, because I don't think it's authentic, and I'll try to explain why. Largely, they're not doing this. Well, I think almost almost without exception, they are not doing this for the sake of functionality. In what way is a trans woman more functional than like an actual man? Right? They're not gaining functionality. They're not even trading off functionality. If anything, I feel like they're losing functionality by trying to make that transition. Right? So what is left? If they're not doing it for functionality's sake, what's left? Perception. Right? That's why they act the way they act. That's why they're doing this to their body. That's why they're behaving that way, or trying to look this way, or trying to dress that way. Right? Perception, perception, perception. And you'll forgive me, but when a person does things almost exclusively with perception as their goal, I retain the right to be a little bit suspicious about their authenticity. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like.